All right, guys. So we have a very special guest, and I'm so super excited because when we were talking, I was like, oh my gosh, you're like so similar to me and just have that excitement, that fire, and focusing forward. And I cannot wait to share your story with all of these amazing people because I feel like your story is not always the typical, right? Like we usually are like, hey, rags to riches, right? But your story is not like that. So I'm just going to unmute you and you can go from start to finish however long or short as you want because I think it's super awesome and just, relatable for people to hear all that. So I'll go ahead and mute myself.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Christy, for asking me to be on here tonight, you guys. I am coming at you in pajamas. I live in the Midwest. It's 9 p.m. and I just had to lay with my little boy. He's 5. Well, I have 2 boys, 2 and 5, but my 5-year-old because he came out of bed about 14 times. So I was like, okay, I cannot lay in his bed in my street clothes. So I'm in my pajamas, just, don't judge. This is real life, right? So, I'm Lauren Murphy. I'm a presidential diamond. I've been in the business for 5.5 years. So, guys, honestly, my story is this. I was your typical, like I followed the typical path that probably most of us are told to do. Go to college, get the degree, get a job. I did all those things. I found success in retail, actually, on the corporate side of retail, and I was the district manager for a retail company. And I traveled all the time for my job. I was the youngest district manager in my company. My goal in life was honestly to become the youngest CEO in like the retail industry. Like I had this, like I set on this prize. And I remember being pregnant with my first son, and my boss was asking me, when are you coming back to work? When are you coming back to work? And to be honest with you guys, I was like, oh, 9 weeks. And he was like, are you sure? And I was like, that was what our maternity leave was. We got paid 9 weeks. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll be ready. We could take 12, but it was unpaid. And so it wasn't that I couldn't afford the unpaid. I just was like, oh, they obviously only want me to take 9 weeks because that's what we get paid. So I'm going to take 9 weeks. And then I had that little baby in my arms, and like my whole world was rocked. Like before you're a parent, you just don't know what's going to happen. I remember kissing my dog goodbye the night that I went to the hospital to have my son, and I felt so guilty. And I was like, I'm bringing a baby home, and like my poor dog isn't going to be the only one. And like my dog is laying next to me. I'm sorry, Charlie. But like he doesn't even compare, right? Now I'm kind of like, and I feel like horrible saying that, but that is the truth. And my world was rocked. And so here's the deal though. I never thought there was another way. When I say my world was rocked, I didn't want to send my son to daycare. I traveled for my job all the time, and so did my husband. And so I didn't want to I really didn't want him to go to daycare, so I wanted to hire a nanny because I just felt like we would have better tabs on him. And so that is why I joined It Works. I had seen a girl posting on social media about this business. You can make an extra $500 a month. I was a customer. Um, I had used the wraps and defining gel like during those basically 9 weeks right after I had him, because I don't know if anybody ever told you wouldn't get stretch marks if your mom didn't, they're lying, because my mom definitely didn't and I definitely did. And so I was wrapping, I was using defining gel, and I loved the products, but I did not have any desire to sell it. And then all of a sudden, I just remembered that girl that I bought the products from, and I remembered her post, like, what would an extra $500 a month do for you? What would an extra $500 a month do for you? And that was what I needed to pay a nanny. That was the difference between a nanny every month and daycare every month. And so when I told my husband I was going to join this business so we could have a nanny, he was like, okay. So I joined the business, and I wanted to make an extra $500 a month. I got in, I did the things. I was seriously ignorance on fire. I worked this business. I worked in retail. So there's no like on your phone at work, like at all. You're on a sales floor all day long. And so I was a breastfeeding mom. And so I was in the middle of the night on my phone, like messaging. I would get up in the morning, I have this newborn baby and he's breastfeeding and I'm on my phone, I mean, you can only stare at the cute baby for so long, right? And so I'm messaging and I'm just following up and I'm posting. And at that time, there wasn't like stories or anything like that. So it was like I was posting 3 times a day on social media, one before I went into my job, one on my lunch break, and one at night before I came in my house. Because I knew once I got my house, it was going to be all about my baby boy. And then when he went to bed, I was following up from all the things during the day. And you guys, I just was so excited about the business and like getting that $500. That's all I wanted. That was my eye was on that prize. And so that's what I did. I had this really strong why. I went Ruby in 45 days and I was like, all right, I made my goal. But then it was like, wait, that was fun. That was pretty good. That was easy, 45 days. Like, so I remember asking my sponsor, how can I do this again? And she was, or how do I go to the next rank? When you're new, like you don't even really know what you're doing. It's just kind of like, I mean, this is one tip I'll give you, like trust your sponsor. And if your sponsor's not super active, like find the person above them. But like I text message that sponsor every single time I had a customer or distributor and asked for help with the conversation, helped with and help with placement. They're helping you, they're going to help you promote. And even if if it doesn't make sense to you, like they're helping you. It's in their best interest to help you. And so I was like, okay. And I would place wherever she told me to place and do whatever she told me to do. And so when I went Ruby, I was like, okay, how do I go to the next one? What's the next rank? And she's like, okay, well, we're going to skip Emerald and we're going to go Diamond because there's a $10,000 bonus. And I was like, and she's like, and if you can go Emerald, you can go Diamond. And I was like, all right. So she taught me how to do that. She just said, so I said, what do I have to do? She said, do exactly what you just did. So if you can go Ruby in this business, you can go any rank in this business. And I mean that because you just build Ruby and Ruby and Ruby. Okay. And so that's what I did. I went Diamond in 3 months. So right on my 3-month anniversary, I was Diamond, and I had earned that $10,000 bonus, and that was all great. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. And like, that was one part of it that I loved. Like, we were all celebrating, and there was like so many people on my team like cheering for me. There was like not any like jealousy or like hatefulness. Like everybody was so excited for me. And I had never had that kind of community of women, to be honest. I worked in retail where when I got promoted, I was terrified to tell my peers because I felt like they were going to be mad at me. And in this business, people like from all over, like people I'd never met were like, I just watch you on social media and you're such an inspiration. I'm like, oh my God. Like it just like made me feel like I was in the right place. I was a part of the best community ever. And so that was in July. I had no intention of going to conference, which I can't even really like talk about that right now because I'm so sad. I like hate COVID and that we can't all be together. But I hope you guys all like find a way to get together and make your own conference style near people near you and watch it. I'm sure you all will, but I wasn't going to go to conference. A girl on my team though texted me and she goes, hey, and by the way, I had this small team at this time, right? I didn't have like all these people. I just had this little knit group of people and we were hustling because if you're Diamond and you have 10 active people, like I don't know who you are, but I had about 3. So you can be Diamond and have 3 people working with you, maybe 2.5 to be honest. And so this one girl messaged me and she goes, we're going to go to that conference thing, right? And I was like, oh my God, you want me to travel for this now? Like, I'm excited and everything, but like, I don't know if I want to be wearing black, green, and bling and heading to Florida and all that. But I remember I told my husband, I said, this girl on my team is asking me if I'm going to this conference. He's like, well, if somebody on your team is asking you, then I think you probably have to go. And I was like, oh my God. And so anyways, I was kind of forced into going, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. It changed everything. Jade Hooper went ambassador that year, and she gave her ambassador speech at that conference, my very first night there. And I was like, I mean, there was multiple other people with her, but her story just really hit me because she's actually from my husband's hometown. And if you know anything about that, it's like this super small town. I was like, okay, if somebody from that town can go ambassador, I certainly can go ambassador. And so I was like, this is just wild. And it changed everything. And I just decided that so that was in February. So I'd been Diamond from July. So think about that. I went Diamond in 30 days or in 3 months, and then did not promote because I was so good with that. I was like, this is literally $1,500 a month. I'm paying my nanny. I'm also paying my mortgage. I'm working full time and doing this. So all this time I'm working full time. I'm running my business while breastfeeding. Okay. Like this is how it's working. And it was great. But I had no ambition of going further. Where this is where the mindset shift comes in. I went to conference, you guys. I opened my heart and mind. I heard the stories and I literally said, if she can do it, why not me? And so when that happened, um, whenever that happened, I told myself, okay, you've been sitting here for since July and it's now February. You haven't promoted. I was a healthy diamond, don't get me wrong. And I was like, I'm gonna put my all into this and see exactly what I'm made of. I went home. I went double diamond that very month. I went triple diamond the month after that. So I actually went triple diamond in less than a year in the business, but I was diamond from July to February. So the month before my 1 year anniversary, I went triple diamond. And you guys, all it was, nothing changed. The company didn't change. The compensation plan didn't change. We didn't launch any crazy new products. We didn't even have keto coffee. I know for some of you, I literally went triple diamond in 10 months selling wraps and defining gel and greens. Okay. Like that's it. And so it was, nothing changed. The only thing that changed was me and my mindset and what I was capable of and how much I wanted to push. And it was simply a numbers game of how many more people I wanted to talk to. So I was just adding more friends. I was sending more messages. I was doing more trainings with my team. I was staying close to the fire. I was doing all of the things. I was having parties. That was like a really big thing. I started doing these things called sip and samples at my house. Every week I would just post on my Facebook, like, who wants to go over and try these products? Have you ever been interested in these greens or these wraps? And I would have people come to my house that were local. Sometimes it was 2 people. It didn't matter, you guys. That's 2 customers. How many of you would love to sign 2 customers a week? I mean, so, you know what I'm saying? That's 8 customers. And so I started doing that, and that was like the best. It was amazing. And so then I went triple, and then my mind changed, and I was like, okay, I don't think I want a nanny anymore. I think that I can like actually do this business full time. At that time, my son was turning 1, and actually, my son Jack has some developmental delays, and I was noticing that, and I was like, man, I want to be home more. And I just felt like this was all coming together for like a reason. And it was all like, I thought that I wanted to do this business for this reason. And now it's for this reason. And you guys, over the 5.5 years, this business has showed up for me in so many moments where like God gave me this opportunity and told me to go with it. And it's because of things that have happened over the last 5.5 years and that will continue to happen in the future. And this has always been my avenue to make those times easier. And so I hustled and hustled. And so that when I went triple, I was actually making more money in It Works than I was at my corporate job. But what me and my husband did to make ourselves feel comfortable, because if you've ever had somebody tell you, you would be crazy to leave corporate America and the stability and do this, raise your freaking hand, okay? Because that's what everyone was in my ear saying. They were saying, I mean, I know you have a good gig and you're really good at this, but you would be crazy to leave that job. You have such a good reputation. You have benefits. Like, okay, what my God. If somebody else tells me of benefits, like, okay, so I'm going to stay at this job where I can make this amount of money, but I get benefits instead of making infinite income, and I'll just pay $1,200 a month for some benefits, okay? People just don't know that there's another way. And so I had so many people in my ear. So what we decided to do was go debt free. So that second year, I was working full time. I was making my income. I was triple diamond with It Works. And we paid off every single amount of debt that we had. And every It Works check that ever came to me went straight to my nanny, my mortgage, and then paying off our debt. So we paid off all of our student loans, both of our cars. And then we put down we were building a house before we started this business. And so we put down a huge down payment on our house so that our mortgage would be the same as our old house when we moved in. And so that's what we did. And when we did that, it happened to be right on my son's second birthday. And on my son's second birthday, I literally put in my resignation and I have been home ever since. So I've been home for almost 4 years now, with this business, doing it full time. And you guys want to know something that's crazy? Everybody told me that leaving corporate America would be risky. I was a district manager for a company called Charming Charlie, and they are now out of business and they filed bankruptcy. So 8 months after I put my resignation in, the girl that was hired to take my position was laid off. You guys, I literally wouldn't have had a job, and I have no idea what I would have done because retail was changing. Times were changing. People are shopping online. Everything we're doing and it works is the way of the world. Like, we're ahead of the game. If you're in this business right now, if you're on this Zoom, you are ahead of the game and you are in the right place. This is where the industry is. This is where the world is. And so if I didn't, I mean, I'm sure I would have figured it out because that's the type of person I am. If you're on this Zoom, you're probably one of those types of people. You're going to find a way. We all are going to find a way. But I just don't even know what I would have done. And there was nothing stable about it. And on the other side, it works. That was the stability. Everything kept getting better. My checks kept getting higher. My team was growing. I was growing. And right after I quit my job, I went presidential 2 months later. And so when I was able to just like put it all in and go full, blown in and give all that time to my team, I went presidential. And I had, and even as a triple, you guys, I was in the top 150 of the company. So if you're a triple on here, you can be top 150 as a triple, or as a double. There's some doubles in this company as top 150. So it's all about making the most and doing your best and being, sponsoring people and training them and being a good leader. So so anyways, I went presidential. I have now been presidential since then. And, so many other things that I could tell you guys that have happened along the way, but we got pregnant with my son, Jack, the first time we tried. Okay. If that happened to you, like it really happened to me. And then with my son, Trip, who is going to turn 2 in a couple months, we ended up having secondary infertility. So for 2 years we had infertility, like could not figure out what's happening, and paid for all of our infertility in cash because of this business. There's that. My brother had a child with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend is, happens to be a drug addict. And my nephew doesn't have a mom. My nephew spends about 90% of his time with me. I pay for his school. He goes to a private school. My kid, there's so many things that we've been called to do that I could have never said yes to, except for because of this business. And it's just like, it happens to me every day. I'm like, man, this person was able to call on me and rely on me because I have freedom of time, or somebody like, it feels really good to be, I swear, like God puts you in positions where you're just at the grocery store and like you see the girl panicking at the checkout and you're like, start sweating for her. Like, I literally can picture my mom being like that when I was little and being like, hey girl, I got this for you. And like literally before she can say anything, just give the card. Have you ever been in that position? Like, I swear we're placed in those positions just so that we can say yes. And because of it works, I've been able to say yes. So like I said, I could go on and on about all the examples and all the things that this business has done for us and has allowed us to do for others. But I'm sure you guys are experiencing some of that for yourselves. And if you haven't yet, you're on your way. Like, I promise you, you're on your way. If you're on this Zoom right now, there's something inside of you. And one of the greatest things that I tell people all the time is if you have a desire to do something, if God placed a desire on your heart to do something, you are capable of accomplishing it, because you wouldn't have ever had the desire if you weren't capable of accomplishing it. So remember that and just keep going with it. It's not about if, it's about when, and there's no doubt in my mind you'll get there. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I love your story, first of all. And everything you said, I think is like kind of like a mic drop. And I think we have to remember, you guys, like, listen to what she just said at the end. If you have the desire to do it, God wouldn't have placed it on your heart if you couldn't do it. Okay. That's huge. That is so, so huge. That is like everything to me, because it's very like literal, like in the sense of like, oh, I would never have that desire if I couldn't do it. And also what you said too, I think it's important to kind of, even if you're new, you guys, and still working on paying your own bills, I love what you said too about just being able to provide things for other people around you, whether it's time or income wise, because I think those are the types of things that make us get out of our own way. Like, I think so often we are in our own way thinking like, I don't want to send this message, I'm scared. There's babies everywhere. Like grabbing at my feet. But like, so often we're like, I don't want to send this message, I'm too scared, or I don't look like Lauren, so I can't do this, or I don't talk like Eliana, so I can't do this, or whatever it is. And we get in our own heads, but like, we're so like focused on that like thing that we have to learn. But really it's the big picture of like, what could I do in a year from now for my family? Like, what could I do in 2 years from now that I don't even know I need yet? And I think that is the biggest thing. I hear that over and over and over and over. Like, your infertility, you would have never known. The job loss, you would have never known. Like, this is literally, there has been so many things that we've been able to do for our family, and like, no way, no how, because we could barely take care of ourselves. Like, you can't take care of anyone else if you can barely take care of yourself. So that was like all just kind of a mic drop, and I think we can end on that. Not really, but I like that's, you know, I'm gonna ask you some questions about like the how to, because there are so many people on here that are new and they're like, okay, what do I do, you know? But I just think it's like so much more powerful to know why you're doing it. And I also love what you said at the beginning, like, just ask your leader. Like, I'm like, you don't know how to chart, just freaking sign the people, I'll tell you where to put them. Like,
Yeah.
because it is, I mean, it makes sense for us and for them. So it's just like so simple. So, okay, what do you use the most? Do you use all social media sites? Do you use mostly Instagram, mostly Facebook Lives? Like, where do you feel like your most enrollments come from?
Okay, so I'm 35, and when I joined, I only had Facebook. So I don't use like Snapchat. I've like at all. I didn't have an Instagram when I started, and I started an Instagram probably 3 years ago. So for the first 2 years of my business, I solely ran on Facebook. I did not have a big network, and I do not have a big family. I have one brother, my parents, and an aunt. And then my friend circle, like, you know, I'm a social being, but it's not like I have like these millions of friends to just be like, hey, you know, can you, you know, do this for me or whatever. And so, yeah, I just ran my business on Facebook for the first 2 years. I will tell you that there was people killing it on Instagram, and I was like, well, if I'm doing really good on Facebook, I could do Instagram too. And then I was like, I actually kind of like self-sabotaged. Like, I was trying to learn Instagram. Like, I wasn't good at Instagram. It's so different than Facebook. And I was trying to learn that, and it was taking away from Facebook. So I always tell people, like, if you're really good at one social network and you haven't like really like gotten to your full capacity on it, just like focus on the one thing and don't overwhelm yourself. So like, that's what I did for 2 years. Only was Facebook, and just grew it to, I had 300 friends, you guys, 300 friends when I started, and I grew it to 5,000 and like really maxed myself out. And it's still not maxed out. It's still like feeding me, you know, now. But I finally got to a place where I was like, okay, I can start an Instagram. I started an Instagram. That was like mind blowing to me, because I was like doing real good over on Facebook. Like, people loved my content. And then on Instagram, I was like, oh, 2 likes, we're doing good. You know, and it was like, I wanted to like go away from it so many times, but I had to just keep reminding myself, like, you didn't gain this following on Facebook like overnight. It takes so much time and consistency for people to notice you. And so I just kept doing it with Instagram. Even when I was getting 2 likes, I just kept going. And then, you know, and then it finally starts to grow and pay off. But I will tell you, the biggest thing for me was I was never a mass enroller, you guys. Like, I don't think I signed more than 6 or 7 customers a month for like, I just sold really big custom, like, I wanted people to get results. So like, I was upselling and like giving them bundles. Like, I was like, okay, I know that you're messaging me about the wraps, but you want to lose 30 pounds. Like, wraps aren't going to lose weight. That can help you in the meantime, like, to feel a little bit more confident. But like, let's talk about our greens. And at the time we had Thermophyte, or Yeah, Thermophyte. I think of all these names that it's called, and Fat Fighters. And so I was like selling them wraps, Fat Fighters, greens, our old shake. You know, there was like, I was just very, um, I was educating them, and I was building bundles for them, and I was really good at checking in on my customers and sending them notes and checking in on their results, and so that my customers stay with me. And so that's like a huge piece that I think people miss, is just being a really, really good customer service to your customers and wanting them to get their results, making sure they're getting their results, because our products are insane, but they have to know how to use them. And sometimes when they're discouraged after 2 weeks, they just need a cheerleader to say, I know, I've been there, like, just keep going, I promise you. And so that's how I was successful. So I was never a mass enroller. Distributor wise, I was like three distributors. The 1 month that I signed more than 3 distributors, I thought that I was like the highest enroller in It Works. Like, boy, was I wrong. I signed 11 distributors the month I went double diamond. And I was like, I just signed 11 distributors. I bet I'm the top enroller in the whole company. And I didn't know anybody. Nobody knew who I was. That was for sure. And yeah, I definitely wasn't the top enroller in the company. Like, now I hear of these people who signed. So I'm like, woo, I don't even know how you're doing that. But you don't have to be a mass enroller. But I will tell you what Instagram did for me was, now I still sign most of my distributors from Facebook, even 5.5 years in. It still feeds me. I sign at least 5 or 6 distributors a month. And it's all from Facebook pretty much. But I sign so many customers from Instagram. Like, I just feel like people on Instagram are used to shopping on Instagram. They're used to watching influencers on Instagram, and they're used to like shopping and just buying things on Instagram. So I share my coffee every day. And when I say every day, you guys, it's the same old me. If you follow me on Instagram, you're going to see 7 a.m. Good morning, happy whatever day. And I'm just making my coffee, and I explain how I do it. So you guys, I want you to know this. I took a marketing class in college. It's like one of the little things I remember from college. And I took a marketing class, and I do remember them saying to me one time, it takes 17 times for somebody to buy something. They have to see it 17 times, and they go through like a true psychological process. So the first time they see you post something, they're kind of interested. They're like, what is that? What is she talking about? By like the 5th time, they're literally so annoyed by you, they think about unfollowing you. They might even unfollow you. But because of that initial response of being sort of interested, they literally will come back and want to follow you again. They'll be like, what was that girl again? They'll start to follow you again. Then they're like, anyway, they go through this whole psychological process. And by the 17th time that they see your post, they purchase from you. They inbox you and they want to purchase. So I tell my team, only 7% of your following sees your posts every single day. Okay. So let's just say this is your top viewer. It will take them 17 days to buy something from you if you post for 17 days. But if you only post once a week, that's 4 times a week, it's going to take 5 months for them to purchase from you, because it takes 17 times for them to see it. They'll only see it 17 times if they watch you every single day over 5 months. Or so you can get a customer every 17 days or every 5 months. Which one do you want? And so when my team is like, Lauren, you literally want me to make my coffee every single day? Yes. Like, that is my secret to success. I make my coffee and my chocolate greens every morning, and then it's an opening conversation. And I have a constant flood of people coming in, asking me questions about my coffee. And I put this same little like swipe every single morning. If you're interested in this coffee, or if you have questions, swipe the bar and I'll send you a DM. And that is where I get most of my conversations. It opens the conversation, and then we figure out what their health goals are. And then I present a package to them for their results. And so that's where I will say now I have become a mass enroller. I mean, to me anyways, not to some of these It Works crazies. No, but like I will sign like 30 customers a month, and it's mainly because of Instagram. So that is how I use Instagram now.
You said not some of these It Works crazies.
Yeah. Christy, Miss Double Ambassador, like her. That's who I'm talking about.
No. Right now, I mean, not right now. It's Jocelyn that's like slaying it. Like,
yeah,
8,000 distributors this month. I'm like, oh, cool story. Like,
right.
I know. You know, I am like, my goal is to work hard every single day, and whatever I'm blessed with, I'm blessed with. If there's 1 month where I get 80, I'll take 80. If there's 1 month where I get 8, okay, that's like what I meant to have, you know, like, but if you're consistent every day and you do the things every day, like you're going to get what you're supposed to get, So I love all those numbers. Like those, it's so funny because I never call myself green, but when I hear those numbers, I think everybody needs to hear it, because we're always thinking like, well, how can I make something happen faster? How can I this? How can I that? But at the end of the day, like it's very logical. Like there is so much psychology in this business for us, but also for them. And so like that 17 number is so big. And I'm going to tell people, oh, well, if you want to do once a week, then it's going to take you 5 months. Oh my God. And I think there's another nugget that you just said too, you guys, like the consistency part. I think it's so important because she draws them in with just her coffee. She doesn't have, like, I've seen people on Instagram, they're not in It Works or in other companies. They're like, here's my entire product line. And I'm like, whoa, that's overwhelming, right? But what she's doing is she's being essentially a good salesman, but not salesy. She's drawing them in with one product and then getting their goals. And that's how she's getting those bigger packages. So, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Also, I just love like how you said, that too. Like, that you haven't signed 80 distributors to get to where you're at, and you've been in the top 150.
Yes. I mean, you guys, the one time I signed like an insane amount of distributors for me, and I signed 43 distributors, and that's when we did the $10 promotion. And like,
everyone died that day.
Yeah, like literally. And honestly, it was like the most stressful time of my whole freaking life. Like, honestly. And so I'm telling you, you can be whatever rank you want to be, signing, steps. It's about what do you do with those people after you sign them? How much are you invested in their success? How much, if I could sign 25, 30 distributors, I mean, yeah, sure, I'll take it. I would love it. But that's just never been. And it's not because I'm not like working that way and trying. It's just because I think a big part of it is I'm not like a big, huge person on Instagram. And like, it's just different on Instagram. I feel like you can recruit more numbers, but I don't want anybody to be like, okay, I'm going to go work Instagram so I can recruit more numbers. Because if you're really good at Facebook, like it's okay to not sign that many distributors. Like it's really about like, how much do you pour into your people? How much do you train them? Like, and also, could you handle 20 distributors? Could you manage 20 distributors? Have you ever been a manager before or a leader in another company? Like if not, then you might be growing your own leadership skills. And so maybe you can only give to 3 people, but those 3 people become like freaking badass. Oh, sorry if I offend anybody, but they become, and like, that's all you need. Like, you literally need 3 people that want to work as hard as you do to go ambassador in this company. That's all. And so that's why I always tell people it doesn't take like a bajillion people. It takes 3 people that have the same vision and want to work as hard as you do. And so I always like to tell people that because I love mass enrollers. Like, that's amazing. And I have like a really good friend in this business who is amazing and very high up in the top 150, and she's a mass enroller, but I'm in the top 150 also, and I've never been a mass enroller. So you can do it either way, and it's just kind of what your niche is.
I love that book, Build to Last. He talks about that. I mean, that's essentially what he talks about. He's like, well, me and this guy, we're both essentially making the same amount of money. He's enrolling 40 distributors a month. I'm enrolling 4 or 5, whatever. And he's like, but eventually he's going to get burnt out and I'm going to make more than him. That's like literally what he says. I'm like, wow, okay. And that confidence. So there's a couple things that you talked about. You kind of talked about that customer retention, which this is something that I do not talk about a lot. Because I think it's one of those things where like when you're using the products and you're falling in love with them, people are going to want to buy from you no matter what. And people are going to want to keep using them because you're still using them. But I think when people have not gotten their own huge results, that customer retention thing, it's almost a little scary. But before, actually, I'll just let you go with that. Can you share about that?
Yeah. Okay. So if you got the keto, if you were here in the company, like, I don't know where all you are at, but the first time you got keto coffee, did you make a big cup of water and dump it in the top of your cup? And you were like, this is disgusting. No one's drinking this. So I'm drinking a clump of, I don't even know what. Okay. Because that's how I made my coffee the first time. And I was like, this is awful. And I'm a distributor for the company. Okay. And like, yes, before the frother days. And I was a distributor for the company. And I was like, yeah, I'm done with this. You know, so can you imagine like the trial and error that our customers go through? And so it's like the biggest thing, you guys, is like, yes, if you're loving the product and you're getting results and your customers are too, but they want to be talked to. You work really hard to get your customer. And then I just see it all the time. I really do, with my team, my downline, my upline, my sidelines. I see it all the time. They sign the customer, they're pumped, they do the little happy dance, they get them in the system, they send them their login and password or whatever if they have it themselves, and they never talk to them again. And they're on their hair, skin, and nails 90-day challenge, and bada boom, bada bing. See you in 90 days, never talk to you again. They have no idea if they're canceling, not canceling. And like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, you worked really hard for that. So let them be a customer for you and let them pay you 5 years from now, because there is something that they will get hooked on and they will use every single month, but they have to have a relationship with you. The Connect app is huge. You guys learn the Connect app and learn how to mass message your customers one message, you know, and keep in touch with them so that you can let them know about every promotion, and you can just check in on them and say hi to them. I have a planner that is like specifically just for my customers. So there's nothing in there except for customer names. So when I get a customer, I literally write their name 1 week later and then the products that they got next to it. And then I write their name 1 month later and then 2 months later. So every single day I open that planner and I know exactly the customer that I need to message and just say, hey girl, I know it's been about a week since you ordered. Did you get your products in? Just wanted to make sure. Do you have any questions on how to use them? That's a part of my every single day, but you have to get into the routine, into the habit of doing it. Then 1 month in, I'm messaging them because I literally write their name the day they enroll at 1 month, and I write their name and it'll say 1 month in and the product. Okay. And then I'll say to them, hey girl, you know, and I'll say their name, not girl. And I'll say, you've been on the products for 1 month. Are you loving the berry greens as much as me? How is the coffee going for you? How are your results? How are you feeling? And then it's the same thing 2 months in. And at the 2 month mark, I send them a note. And the best thing I ever did was downloaded the Ink app, INK, and it's on your phone. It's a card app. You guys, it's $1.99 to send a card. You don't have to do anything. It comes as a postcard. You can put any sort of picture on there. You can put a quote on there. You can download a picture from Pinterest. You can make it say whatever you want. And on the front, it mails it to them. And it literally can just be like a little handwritten note from you. And all mine always say is like, thank you so much for being my customer. I'm so glad you're loving the products as much as I do. You know, and then it's like, please let me know if you ever need anything. And it's just like a thank you card for them. And like, just, and I do it on my phone. It takes me literally 7 seconds and you send it all from your phone. It's $1.99. So I do that right up before they're 3 months. And then, you know, and then I don't have like this actual system that I'm going through. But at that point, I've like really built this relationship with this customer, most likely because those conversations turn into so much more. They start feeling comfortable to text you when they lose those first 5 pounds, you know, or they'll send you a picture of them. And so it's just really building relationships with people. And then talk about turning customers into distributors. 3 months in, they're getting results. They've built a relationship with you now, with your customers. And now you say to them at 3 months, listen, I know you're going to think I'm crazy. I thought the person who asked me to do this business was crazy, but I seriously think that you would be amazing at doing this business. You've already got your own results. Do you want to make some money and help other people do exactly what you're doing? And then you turn your customers into distributors. So that is just such a huge piece that I feel like people miss. And it's not like because we have bad intentions. I get really like, you know, people be like, oh, well, she signs 100 customers, but she doesn't ever talk to them again. Like, it's not bad intentions at all. We're just busy. We're hustling, you know? And when you're hustling, you miss the little fine tuned details that make your business grow. So sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. And I would say that whenever you're, you know, engaging with your customers, that's like something that takes a second, right? It's you're slowing down, but it really like speeds up your organization because your customer will build their sale bigger. They're going to be with you longer. And I seriously think that that's like the best investment I ever put into my business in the beginning.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I am totally going to do that for my customers. And for all of you people who are probably like me and totally like you're like, okay, I've signed like 18 million customers in the last 12 million years. Like, how am I going to do this? I don't know about you, but I would suggest probably just start from now, start from last week and move forward.
Yeah.
Consider
don't try to, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry to like, this is like, if you didn't sign up in the last week, I don't, yeah, exactly. I'm like with you. And people ask me that all the time. Okay, Lauren, I want to do this now, but I just don't even know where to begin because I have a bajillion customers. Okay. No big deal. You don't need to worry about that. Start it. It takes, they say it takes how many ever days to create a habit. Well, it's going to take that many times you do that with a customer to create a habit. So just start it with your next customer. Like literally your next customer, just be like, I'm starting this off on a totally different foot and I'm like changing the way that I do things. And this is how I'm going to do it. And then you'll get into a new habit.
I think that is like so super powerful because you guys, like if you look at the numbers, even if you're a Ruby, like literally, even if you're a Ruby, if you keep your customers, let's just say every single one of your customers now only does 3 months. That means 4 times a year, you need to get new customers to be at the end of the year what you were at in March. Like you made 0 progress after March. Essentially, that's what it is. You still signed more, but you are the same in March as December, okay? But if you do this, you are duplicating it, you guys, 4 times. Like, could you imagine your March volume or BV or customer amount for all of you new people 4 times in December what it was in March, just simply because all of us are doing this. And I think that is like, it's so simple too. And I love what you said, like we have to slow down to speed up. I think that's like one of those things. Cause I'm like that. I'm like, okay, get more, let's get, let's go.
And I am like, that's how I am. Like you guys, I'm like a mile a minute. Like I always like say like, my brain is working so fast and I always have like all these really good ideas and like these things that I want to do. And I'm just an activator and I just want to go. Like I'm really bad at operations, like, which means like the backside, like, making sure all the things that happen and like CAB reporting and all those things. Like, I'm just like, but I just want to do the things. Like, I just want to go talk to more people. I want to make posts. I want to, engage with people. And I feel like that's but some, like I said, the whole slow down to speed up thing is like, you have to ground yourself and know when things are worth it. And that's like getting on Zooms with your new people, or Zooms with your teams or training or picking up that phone call when that distributor calls you and wants to talk about charting for the millionth time. Like sometimes it takes people a million times and it's like, you have to pick up the phone and talk to them slowly instead of talking a million miles an hour. Like I'm such a fast talker and I have to always like just take myself and remember like, cause if you are brand new here and you feel like, man, I have no idea what I'm doing. Don't worry. Me too. Like I felt that way for about 6 months in the business. This is a learn as you go business. It is the very opposite of anything you ever did. Most companies you join, you get hired and then you get trained in your first week. And in this business, you join without knowing exactly what you're signing up for. And then you learn for 6 months. And really you learn forever. But I feel like most people have their bearings about them in about 6 months. And so it's okay if you don't know what you're doing. You can still be really, really successful. I seriously hardly knew anything about charting when I went diamond. I had a really good sponsor who I trusted and made me feel confident about the moves I was making. I was doing the things and signing the customers, signing the teammates, and I was trusting people on my team. So if you're brand new, it's totally okay if you don't know what you're doing at all.
I love that so much. And it's funny how you shared like, when you were making Instagram, because I felt like that, you guys making TikTok, and it like kind of was a slap in the face. I was like, I feel like I'm pretty good at Facebook. I'm pretty good at Instagram. And then TikTok, and I'm like, I'm such a loser. Like it's not growing. And I had to like remind myself, like, you tell everybody to be patient and be consistent, yet you wanted to make a few videos and go viral. I was like, wow.
Yeah. But it's like really good because it reminds you, because like you do forget, like, I mean, that's humbling because, that's how I felt too. I started a TikTok too. And don't worry, like I'm not on there, Riley, because I'm like, why doesn't anybody like my video? Like it took me 7 hours to make a freaking outfit change video. And like I have 6 likes on it. Like that was, and
like, was that worth my time?
Yeah. And I'm constantly telling people, Be patient. Lauren, I only got 3 views on my coffee and it was my mom, my sister, and my aunt. Okay, keep going. Like, tell your mommy, a sister, and aunt to give you more likes every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, it does. It takes time and it takes consistency. And so I always like, a new social media platform is very humbling because it puts you in your place like you're not that cool. Like, you just, kind of gained a
Yeah, you're
follow.
like, oh wow, okay, I'm not the best. Like
Yeah,
I'm
not at all.
bad and new.
Yeah.
And I love that you said that too. Like if you're really good at something, you guys, like just keep doing it. Like I'm always open for trying new things. Like if somebody's gonna be signing 1 million, the thing is I'm not gonna stop what I'm doing to start that. But if I can start that and squeeze it in, I'm going to. Like I decided, okay, I'm gonna do TikToks and put them on Reels. And because of not even the TikToks, I thought it was gonna be the TikTok. You just never know what it is, but it's actually the Reels that are blowing up. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Like that's, that was taking the platform I know and mixing it with the platform I don't know. So, it's one of those things where I do like what you said though. Like if something's working, like you don't have to fix it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay. So the last thing I wanted to ask you, you talked about, okay, you bring in those 3 to 5 and whatnot each month. What do you think is the number one reason why your people are working? Like, what is I have a how to train a new distributor video in my team page, but like, what is your like coaching tip? Like, how does somebody become a better leader? Like, how do they help their newbies?
Okay, so like don't get me wrong, guys. I get people who literally never work. I say they go on the missing persons list. Like I'll literally text them and be like, "Should I like let the authorities know that you are gone because I don't know what happened?" Like that has happened to me like a bajillion times since I started. So if that's happened to you, like just know that's really, really normal. So it's not just like that everybody works, but I do think that it's people are nervous. If you were nervous when you started this business, like raise your hand. I wasn't confident. And there are moments like I remember the first, even though I was like successful, I didn't really realize it. Some of you are like really doing really well and you don't know it. Like I was doing well, but I didn't even realize I was doing well. And then some of you, depending on where you're at financially, the Ruby thing like just won't be good enough for you. Like I'm just going to be honest, like you're going to get a $250 check because our average income of a Ruby is, whatever. But your first time, you're never going to get the average the first time. The average is people who've been there for months and, and it all evens out. You'll get there, but it just, you're going to get the average income when you're closer to the next rank. And so the first time you get it, you're like, what I want to tell people all the time is you get that first Ruby check and it's like $250 or whatever. And you're like, was that really worth it? If you're like if you're successful financially. But what I want to tell everybody is what you just did, like that's all you have to do to be ambassador. You just have to do it again and again and again, and it all compounds on each other. So all of a sudden, the same work you did to go Ruby actually gets like easier because you actually know what you're doing. You have to coach more people, and there's other things that come into play. It's not, I don't want to say it's easier. It's simple. It's simple, but you do the same work to be an ambassador as you're doing as a Ruby. And so you just have to keep going. And I feel like, so as you go through all those like mind shifts, one day you'll be really excited because you're like, oh, I signed 3 customers today. And then the next day or the next 3 days, you don't sign anybody. And you're like, I don't think this is for me. And then all of a sudden, when you think that, somebody's in your inbox like, hey, are you still doing that It Works thing? You're like, oh yeah, I'm here, girl, and you're like all excited again. Well, I think that it's all about building a relationship with that team. Like when I sign a new distributor, I have gone through phases. So like probably my first 2 years in the business, every time somebody joined, like as soon as they joined, I was like, okay, let's get on a Zoom right now. And I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you guys, that was because I was so excited. I was so grateful for every single distributor that ever joined my team. And I got on a Zoom. I learned all the things about them. Tell me about you. Okay. I know you're probably very uncomfortable. I call things out all the time. I know you're probably really uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable the first time too, that somebody wanted me to get on a Zoom and I didn't know them. But tell me about you. Like, why are you doing this business? And finding out their why, because you can use that in conversations with them later. And not use it against them, but just remind them why they started. Sometimes people just need that reminder. And then while you're on that Zoom, you're going to give them like little tasks, and I do it in steps. So I literally will be like, okay, tell me your why. Let me tell you about me. Let me tell you about, like, how do you like to communicate? Do you want to text, email, Facebook message, call? Like, who are you? And then you have to adjust your style as a leader to meet the needs of that person on your team. So I'm naturally a texter. Like, I'm the type of person that will watch you calling me and I will wait for it to end so I can text you and say, hey, what's up? Okay. I just like texting. But if somebody on my team tells me, like, oh, I'm really not a texter, I want to talk on the phone, like, I am going to talk on the phone to that person, because you have to meet the needs of the people on your team. That's called servant leadership. And so that's being a good leader, and that's how you show up for them, and that's how you make them comfortable and empowered to do what they need to be able to do and gain their confidence. And so it's letting them borrow your confidence on the way there. And so when they're having those down days where they don't have 3 customers, they trust you and they have that relationship with you, and they know they can pick up the phone and call you, or text you or whatever it is, right? And you'll also be so in tune to them that you'll be able to see if something's off. You'll notice in their stories, you'll notice in their posting, you'll notice in their vibe if something's off, and you can pick up the phone and call them and say, hey girl, what's up? What's going on? Okay, let me tell you, I've been there, done that. I've learned that it's not so much about what you teach them to do. I feel like people, like, we all can figure out, we're all pretty smart. You can follow somebody in this business who's doing well, and you can emulate what they do on social media. You can screenshot conversations all day and your sponsor will help you close and seal the deal. The area that you can't change is the mind. And that's where I feel like people stop working, and they will quit every single time if they don't have a connection to you. And so after I went pres and after I got really comfortable, I had this rock star team. And I was, going through infertility. And so I was having some of my own things. I made a new distributor training, and I recorded a training, and I put it in my team page. And every time I signed a distributor, I tagged them in that training. And I said, hey girl, start here. And they would watch this training. And I just noticed my retention went down. And so I really feel like I just didn't make that connection from the get-go. Just that was like a personal thing for me that I needed to build that relationship with them so that I could have like better communication with them and build that relationship from the get-go, so that when they're having the downtimes or having the days where they weren't feeling as confident, I could have that conversation with them, and that's what kept them in. And getting them back on track. And they just need a little win. When people are having a bad day, I feel like most of the time I can give them something to do to have a small win, and people just need the tiniest little win to regain that glimmer of hope for what and to remember what they were going for and why they started. And so that's, I think, like, honestly, the biggest thing, because then I stopped doing that. I realized one day, I'm like, I just feel like I'm going to go back to doing like trainings. And that was the other thing, like, Cami and I were talking once, and she was like, stay hungry and humble. And it was like, stay hungry and humble. It's like, at some point, like, were you ever like I wouldn't ever consider myself as somebody like not thankful or humble or grateful, but you do get like comfortable to your situation. And like, I mean, do you remember the first distributor you signed? Like, I thought I was going to throw up. Like, I was so pumped, and then like, you get like to a point where like, oh, got a distributor, and it's like, no, like, you get up and you dance and you jump up and down because it's so exciting, and you treat them the same. And so that's when things like pick back up. So if some of you need like just that remembrance, like, and so then things got a lot better. My retention went back up with distributors on my team. So I really think it's not like what I teach them. I do it in steps. Like, here's your first step. Put up your why post. Okay, tell me when it's done. Then I give them a next step. So it's like they're accomplishing this task and they go through, but it's probably the same tasks you guys do. We all start. It's not like rocket science. We do a why post. We write our warm market. We start either a host a post or a product tester post or whatever you call it, to get those first few customers, earn your shopping spree, started on the products, and now we're going to make your first highlight reel, and that's it. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I love everything you said, because I think that is like the actual missing link, like a system. We all have systems. So everyone's like, what system do you have? And I'm like, mine is completely different from yours. obviously, because I made mine, you made yours, but we both have people being successful. And that's when people like, they look around, they're like, well, what's Lauren doing? Oh, I should change. No, like if you're part of a wheel that brought you on, clearly it's working, but it's that connection. Like the connection is what makes the system work, but the system can't work without that connection. Like
Yes.
that is so powerful, you guys, because honestly, I think when you're in the wrong space and you are just all about you, well, at least for me, what has happened for me is I'm like, great, this person's texting me, like, great, she's gonna quit. Like, I'm already like claiming it for her. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, like what a brat I am. Like, you know, like
Well, we're all there. We've all been there. Like everyone, like that's why it's so important to do self-development and to like be around the right people who check you, like they'll, you know, and like remind you like where you want to be, because we've all been there. Like, and not just even in this business, but in your life, or you
as a
know, and
mom. Yeah.
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
Well,
So
I think
it's,
we're like naturally kind of impatient people. Like that's just the kind of society, you know, like your internet is like gone for like 2 seconds. You're like, what the hell? Like I'm calling Cox right. You know, like you freak out. And it's because we want everything like right now. And it's the same with this business. We're like, well, why isn't Sally like doing anything? And I'm like, well, have you had a FaceTime with her? No. Okay. Well, you know nothing about her.
yeah.
You know, like, and when they have that one moment, they're going to listen to the person that they know and not listen to you because they don't know you. But it's so crazy what a simple FaceTime or Zoom can do. Like,
Yeah.
man, it's just so crazy. And if you guys are with people in person, like in the same state, get together with them, because that is just, it's just special. And I think also it's just more fun. Like there's times where I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Like, just don't call me, just don't text me, nothing. And then when I'm like forced to, because again, if somebody calls me, I'm going to answer, right? Like you got to be there for them. Or when they're in person, they want to do something in person. I'm like, okay, fine. But then when you're in it, you're like, this is fun. Like, this is why I'm here. Like, this is like signing my first distributor. Like, they're so excited and they're hungry. Like, it's so much more fun. You guys, like when you have that personal connection, if you disconnect from the personal part of this business, I honestly think like you're shooting yourself in the foot, because you're going to get drained and you're going to get sad and lonely. Like it's lonely at the top thing, that's only for corporate America, because you can't get to the top here alone.
Yeah. Yeah. You cannot, it's not lonely, because no, the higher you are, the more your phone rings. And that's why
Right.
you get tired. It's not like, you know, it's not because you aren't grateful for it. It's just, you know, I was reading a book the other day and it talks about the introverted extroverts. You can seem like very outgoing and extroverted, but the difference between a true extrovert and a true introvert, or a true introverted extrovert, is somebody who wakes up in the morning and you literally have 7 coins. Like you have 7 mental coins, and every time you have a conversation, you give away a coin. And so by the end of the day, if you are out of coins, you literally need a mental break. And it's not because you're not extrovert, it's just because you're an extrovert introvert. Whereas a true extrovert, they wake up with 0 coins. And every time they have a conversation, they gain a coin. And then it becomes like, I want more coins. And so they have 7 coins and they've had all these great conversations. And then at the end of the day, they're like, I need more coins, because it just like, it hypes them up. And that's a true extrovert. And so they thrive on getting all the coins, and the extroverted introvert is like passing out the coins and they're out, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we're in this business, and it's so many people are contacting you, and it's a great thing, but just based on your natural personality, sometimes you need a break. But like Christy said, I've had that moment so many times where I'm like, I do not want to pick up the phone right now, but I know it is my responsibility. And I pick up the phone, and it's the best thing. And I feel so good every single time I hang up. And it is why I'm here. It's why I'm here to have this business. And it reminds me every single time, like, why I was placed in this path, you know? And so I totally, totally hear you on that.
Okay, you are awesome. I like didn't know anything about you, and I've never had a conversation with you, but you're awesome. And it's so awesome too, because I had somebody else and I was like, you know what, I'm going through this focus chat. I'm going to any, mini, miny, mo these people. I'm like, she looks awesome. So I'm like, all right, who wants it? Because, you know, it's one of those things too. It's like when people blow up your inbox to do Zooms, you're like, ugh, I don't want to open this. But then when you're on it, you're like, yeah, like, let's go. I don't know. That's how I am, at least.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
think I collect coins, but there's days where I have a certain amount of coins depending on my mood.
Yes,
So,
exactly. And you can go in and out, right? Yeah. So
okay, so what is that book that you're talking about?
the extrovert introvert
Yeah,
one, it's a podcast. It was let me send it to you when I get off here. Let me find it and I'll send you the exact one.
because it sounds so good. I like hearing that, like that kind
Really
of
good.
stuff, because I think so often too, and Pam talks about too, like we're not paying attention to our physical aspect, and sometimes it's just that we need to like disconnect from like our thoughts, and think of it very like literally. Okay, so I don't want to take up any more of your time. I was gonna say, if you have anything left that you think is like a huge, just big thing for people to remember, I would love for you to share something.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know if there's like a huge like thing to remember. I think it depends on where you're at in your life and where you're at. But I just my biggest thing is, and I tell everybody this at the end of every single one of my Zooms, if you're on here right now, there's a reason, and don't give up on that. Like it's just there's a reason you were called to be on here. There's a reason you dialed the code in. You want to be successful, and if you ever go through a day where you feel like this just isn't for me, that's a lie. And you need to be honest with yourself, and you're either scared or frustrated or you don't believe in yourself, and there's a reason you're on here, and you can be on the other side of this leading a Zoom one day. You will be on the other side of this leading a Zoom one day and telling the people the same exact things. So just keep going and pushing and know that you are capable of all of this. So that's
Oh,
really
I love that so much. You are amazing. Thank you so much for giving us an entire hour and 4 minutes of your time, and we appreciate you. And I hope that you have a good Monday night.
thank you, Christy.